ANTS is an involved strategy game by Renato Ciervo and Andrea Robbiani that will debut in October 2025 from Italian publisher Cranio Creations, with a debut at the Spielessen Game Fair in Germany. And to give you a sense of how involved this game is, I thought I'd highlight two elements of it. Here is a set of 8 tokens that are used with one of 9 queens that you use in the game, with only as many queens appearing in a game as the number of players. So often this tile won't even be in play, much less the 8 tokens associated with it. And in the introductory game, you don't use the queen tiles at all. So lots of little elements that you have to learn how the rules function so you can put everything together during play. And along the same lines, element number 2, here's a page of icons for you to learn what the bonuses are on various cards and the game boards that you see, the anthill that you're building in, some of the requirements to play cards. It's a lot to absorb. And that's only page 1. There's more. There's a lot of icons in this game. Not everything is depicted on this page. You have to make interpretations. Oh, this is similar format, so therefore this must work the same way. You have a long teach before you can get to play ANTS, but it's worth it. Each player has their own anthill board that serves as a control panel of sorts, tracking the ants that you have available with which to take actions, what you are going to produce when you take an incubation action, and what you have already done and what you still need to do. On a turn, you're going to take one of 6 actions: dig, explore, or forage, all done with grown-up ants. You can play up to 2 cards from your hand, or play a card and fight a threat on the shared game board, or you can incubate, which serves to reset this part of your board, and do some other things as well. So, on a turn, if you're digging, exploring, or foraging, you're doing it with grown-up ants in that specialization. You're going to have eggs that become larvae that turn into grown-ups, and they're going to specialize in certain actions. You take ants out of a chamber, and you take an action at strength 1 to 4, depending upon how many ants you remove. So initially, I can take a digging action of strength 1, which is not much, but everything in this game starts small and then builds over time. As this helpful aid shows, though, you can spend food in order to move one ant from a specialization to a different one. So I can do that and take a digging action, strength 2. Or I can do it again and move this over for strength 3. Or I can spend 2 food to bump the strength of an action by 1. So I can spend 4 food to make this a strength 4 digging action. I'm not going to explore or forage. I move those ants away, but sometimes bigger actions are better. Unfortunately, you are not going to have 4 food at the beginning of the game. It'll take a while to get there unless you dip into your emergency food supply in your anthill, and that will cost you points at game's end. So start small. Take an action, digging strength 1. I remove this ant, and I'm going to place a 1x1 room onto level 1 of my anthill, and I will get the bonus that I cover. You get lots of little bonuses on the board by playing cards, by fighting threats. There's lots going on that will just layer over time. If I had a digging action strength 2, I can place 2 1x1 rooms or a 1x2 room, similar to what I start with. And you place that on the board. It can be all in level 1, or you can do something like this. It's in level 1, but then it goes deeper as well. A level 3 digging action, you can see where this is going. 3 level 1 3 1x1 rooms, or this, or the L. And it has to attach to what you've already done, or some of it has to be in level 1. Strength 4 digging action, you get a T piece, and do what you will with that. So I can do this here. I can cover here and get 3 bonuses at once. I still leave this space, and you want to fill spaces, or rather empty spaces, because you are digging out the dirt and making rooms that you can fill later. you want to empty out complete levels because that's one of the goals that will let you place these tokens on the board, and it's a primary place that will allow you to earn points. If you completely empty out one level, level 3 is 8 spaces, levels 1 and 2 are 5. You take this token that shows 1 level's empty, turn it to the star side, and put it on the shared board. The stars serve as a clock in the game. When enough stars have been played, you enter the final rounds of the game. And for yourself, placing stars on the board means you score points. I complete this one level and I will get 4 points. If I empty out another level, I place this as well, and now I get 10 points. And if I empty everything out, all 3 levels, check, 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 I get 20 points. So you want to specialize in what you're doing because I get 20 points for digging out all 3 levels. If I do only the top token of each of these, I get 12 points, 4, 4, and 4. So you want to specialize. Do lots of digging, but to do that, you will need lots of ants that specialize in digging. You get the bonus when you cover them up. You need these rooms because when you play room cards in the future, they will require you to flip a room of at least a certain size, and now it's occupied. It goes from an empty space to a functional space as determined by the room card that you play. And now this is off limits. You have to build another 3 room if you need a size 3 room, and now you can flip that for a future card as well. Exploring and foraging we'll get to later when we talk about the shared board. Card play as well we'll cover in the future. There's a lot to absorb in this game. An incubation action serves as a reset of sorts. Whenever you are ready to incubate, primarily by having no ants up here, but you can with some ants, what you do is empty out this top tile. If you have ants here, you can move 1 of each up into these spaces, and it's reserved for the future. It can explore, it can forage. You can add that when you're taking one of those actions to strengthen that action. You then see whether you completed the goal, the deed that's shown on this tile. Here I need to have played 5 room and skill cards. 5 rooms, 5 skills, some combination of that. If I have done that, then I will get to promote one of my production charts, production lines, and you flip this over and it becomes a deed. Deeds are one of the other things that will allow you to place stars on the board and earn you points. If I have completed 3 deeds, put that on the board. 4 points, 5 deeds, 8 deeds, there you go. More deeds beyond that won't matter, except that deeds also score points themselves sometimes. So you can specialize in deeds, and you have 3 of them available here, all with different goals that you need to fulfill. So, did I complete this? No, I did not, because the game's just started and I haven't done much of anything. I don't have much strength to do anything. I'm going to build. Give me time. Step 2, you take any number of incubation actions based on cards that you've played or spaces you've filled up in this area with threats that you've defeated. You can discard a card from your hand to go up on the nuptial flight track. Get to that later. You're going to produce as well. This production all starts at level 1 in the introductory game. You're going to produce 1 food and 1 leaf. And you're going to produce 1 egg with the digging, exploring, and foraging specializations. So I put those on here. I would add this to my supply. I do any incubation actions I have, I can discard a card. Once step 2 is done, I go to step 3. I have to pay 1 food for each larva that is going to become a grown-up. If I can't feed them, I have to get rid of them, or I can dip into that emergency food supply in order to keep them alive. Finally, take the top tile and move it to the bottom. So over time, you're going to produce eggs based on your production levels. They will go to larvae, and then you feed them and they become grown-ups. If you take this bonus action, you can move a larva up to grown-up. So you avoid paying the food for it, and you'll be able to take a stronger action now at the expense of not having that later. You're going to make lots of choices in this game. Figure out what's ideal. Now my goal is to have 5 leaf cubes. I'm going to get those from production, but also from foraging. We'll talk about exploring and foraging later. If I have 5 leaf cubes, I would flip this over, similar to this one. So these are going to cycle through the board, and you're trying to time everything just right. Work on your production, work on satisfying these goals along with many other things in order to build points over time. So this requires me to have a strength 3 explore egg production, which means I need to move this up twice. And conveniently, if we go back in time or we cycle through and this comes to the top again, if I satisfy this by having played cards, I'm going to start with some cards in the hand, and each time I dig, forage, or explore, I'm going to pick up another card. If I have played those, I get a promotion. I could promote explore egg production. Flip this over. If I now have 5 leaves because I've foraged enough, flip this over. I get another promotion. I can move this up to 3, and then I will have this ready to go at that time. So everything can chain together. You can see the goals out here. You'll be surprised by lots of other goals as well, but some things are straightforward. You have those available to you. You know you want to dig out your anthill in order to do this. You know you want to complete deeds, whether through satisfying these tiles or playing cards in order to get points there. The third stack of star tokens are pheromones. You have 6 pheromones that correspond to 6 terrain types on the shared game board. When you remove a pheromone, cool, we'll talk about that later. But if you have removed 3, you get to put out this token. Remove 5, you get another one. Remove all 6, you get another one. So that's something else you could specialize in. You're not going to be able to do everything, but there's a lot that you want to do. And this helps you keep track, again, of ants, what you're producing, how much room you have, which shows you which room cards you can play, what threats you have taken that will give you bonuses or ongoing abilities, and where you can get bonuses in the future by defeating other threats. It's a lot to absorb, but this is just the start. Let's look at the shared game board now. While this inset shot here will take only 15 seconds, you can think of it as representational of the 5 minutes it took to set up the game board you are about to see. Here's the shared game board in ANTS set up for a 4-player game. For a 3-player game, you'd modify it slightly, placing these 2 tiles on the board to remove 4 hexes from play and keep things a little more constrained. The 2-player game board is on the opposite side, and maybe we'll look at that, but you can just imagine this much smaller. Many fewer hexes available. You are going to explore and forage in this space that has 6 different types of territories as indicated by color and texture. You have threats in those 6 types of territories as well. And to complete the setup, you are going to reveal a threat for the 3 indicated spaces, also adding resources to the board. 4 food in this case, and 4 leaves in each of these. You then reveal threats. Threats come in levels 1, 2, and 3 as indicated by the Roman numerals. They show symbols for what you need to have in order to defeat that threat. But in addition, you must have explored within that particular territory. Learn the lay of the land, as it were, and what is needed to defeat this threat. To explore, you are going to remove ants from your anthill board. You'll have an action in strength 1 to 4 based on how many ants you remove, how much food you pay to pump up that action. You are then going to explore a space in that strength or lower. So these 3 hexes have only 1 white dot. So if you take an explore action strength 1, you can only explore one of those 3 hexes. Strength 2 is around here, strength 3 is around here, and strength 4 are the ones at the back that have these special tokens here. These are diamonds, treasures that you are finding out there, like a discarded USB storage item, or a meeple, treasures in the ant world that have special bonuses associated with them. So when you explore, you remove the ants from your board. If I take strength 1, I'm going to go and cover one of these circles and I get the indicated reward. So if I cover here, I get a mutation token that counts as one of the 9 symbols in the game, and I spend it whenever I want to play cards and I need that symbol, or fight a threat and I need that symbol. Here you get 2 aggression tokens, which you can use primarily for fighting threats, such as here you need 3 aggression symbols. The ones you play on cards are permanent, such as these here. That'd be 2 permanent aggression symbols. These are temporary ones, you play them once and throw them away. Here you need red and 2 silver. So here I draw 2 cards. So let's say I go here and get a mutation. Okay, I can save that for the future. We reveal a threat of the appropriate territory, and I add the indicated resources to the board, in this case 4 food. And when I take an explore action, I'm going to pick a card from this row here, showing the explore symbol, and add it to my hand. You are going to get a card with every digging and exploring and foraging action that you take. And these are the cards, in addition to some starting cards, that you will play during those actions. So digging, I already showed you how digging works. When you take a digging action, you take one of these 3. Exploring goes here. You're going to take cards based on what the requirements are to play it, the power that it gives you, and what type of card it is. We'll get more in the cards later. Let's focus on this for now. So I've explored. I've gone here, revealed this threat, reveal those resources. Now that I've explored in this dark green area, I can fight those threats in the future because I've learned the lay of the land. I know how to use it to my advantage in order to fight them. If you have not explored in this territory, you cannot fight those threats. Therefore, you cannot get the rewards for putting those defeated threats on your board, on your anthill board. However, me exploring this space, I've set up a great opportunity for someone to forage. So by foraging, you're going to remove 1 to 4 ants from the foraging specialization in the grown-up area of your anthill board, and then put them on the territory here. You can start from an orange outlined area, and when you put an ant down, you look at the adjacent hexes, and if they have resources, you get them. So in this case, the orange player would get 2 food, 1 food from each of those. They do it again, they get 2 more food. They do it here, they get a food and a leaf. And they do it here, they get another leaf. Now, these spaces are empty at the moment, but when someone explores them in the future and resources are added to that area, in this case it'd be 4 leaves, there's 3 orange here, orange would immediately get 3 of those 4. So it's a good setup for orange. They're essentially ensuring resources in the future, kind of discouraging other people from exploring this space because orange gets something. They don't necessarily get anything. So that's what foraging gets you. Resources now, resources in the future. You also take a card when you forage, and foraging is how you place pheromones on the board from your anthill board. When you empty a space, let's say, actually, this would have 1 and 1 left. Let's say instead of going here, orange went here with its last piece. It would pick up a yellow and green, and it picked up all 4 yellow food with the 4 ants here. And when you empty a hex, you get to mark it here with your cube of the matching territory from your anthill board on this leaf. And if it's your turn when this is empty, you get that bonus. In this case, another food. So orange now picked up 2 food from here, 4 food from here, 1 from there, 2 leaves. Orange has so many resources available now, which is really going to help it in the future. I possibly should not have explored there and set up this situation. Okay, bad move on my part. If someone else had, let's say green had gone first and just foraged for 1 and taken 1 of those food, right? Leaving 3 left. And then orange went and did its thing and took the rest. Well, orange and green both contributed to emptying this space, so green would also get to place a cube here, but it does not get the bonus because orange is the one who actively emptied it out. If on a future turn, you ended up having a blue here, blue gets nothing for emptying this space because that was already done before blue got there. you got to actively work to empty it in order to place the pheromone. And if this space now empties out, orange doesn't place another pheromone there. It's already explored that territory and it's already marked it. Done. You need to go somewhere else. Now, if you explore somewhere else, let's say the black player goes here, you turn over a threat, you put out the appropriate resources. In the future, when black explores, it can start from one of these orange outline areas that still hasn't been filled, or it can start from any space around an area it's explored, as long as no black ants are on those hexes. So you're essentially, you can think of it dive bombing in, I guess, starting here, and then you can explore outward. So you go here, get a food. Go here, get nothing because there's nothing here. But again, when they're explored in the future, I'll get them. Could explore up here and I get a food. As you get around the perimeter, there's bonuses there to lure you to the perimeter. It's a very gamey thing. You're only going to get one resource from this hex, not two like you would here, or three as you would here. So you have to make it attractive by putting something else out there. But now that I have this here, I can't start here in the future. I would have to explore from what's already there and go out. So in a future turn, I can go in a different direction. Future turn, go in a different direction. Or start up here as well. If I end up exploring out here, I can then suddenly just pop in there to block orange. And orange can't go this way in the future. I can leave this territory to myself by blocking it off. Unless someone explores, and then they can jump in there as well. So, exploring and foraging. Foraging is vital because you get resources that will let you keep your ants alive, that will let you play cards, or when you pick up mushrooms, that will let you do either of those. In addition, it will let you place pheromones, which is one of the main scoring conditions of the game. And in addition, you will then be placing out stars, and this is the timer track for the game. Exploring seems less attractive, but you do get to see what the threat is and make it so that you can now fight these threats. And when you do that, that lets you gain valuable rewards on your board. So if I defeat a level 1 threat, it can only go in this top row. Level 2 can go either. Level 3, any space. Level 1 threat, I can place it here and I bump up my food production by 1, and it's worth 2 points at game's end. The lightning bolt shows it's a one-time event, one-time bonus. Here, I get to bump up the egg production of my choice. Here, I'm going to draw some cards and get a mutation token. Here, you see the Ouroboros, the lemniscate there. Lemniscate, actually. And I get a permanent aggression symbol and 2 points at the end of the game. So I have to remember I have this aggression symbol whenever I go fighting in the future. You get other bonuses as well. This disc with a question mark on it means you get to get a wild ant during each incubation. That's what the hourglass symbol means. There's 4 types of symbols here. Instant bonus, permanent bonus, incubation action, and endgame scoring, which is shown there. It's an arrow going up to a vertical line. You can think of it as something running to a halt. And at the end of the game, I get 8 points. Here, this lightning bolt with the diamond, I get to take one of the 4 special tiles put aside. Lots of stuff available here to help fuel your growth. So, exploring lets you fight threats, puts resources on the board, and gives you a spot to forage from in the future, in addition to giving you the cards. Now, this is the nuptial flight track. As I mentioned during incubation, you can discard a card from your hand in order to move up on this track. This track is important for 2 reasons. One, you get a bonus when you reach a space or pass it. So if I'm the blue player, I move up here, I get an aggression token. If I move up to this space, if I want, I can bounce off the track and cover the highest space, and I'll get 4 points at the end of the game. This fits together normally. My table's a little tilted, so this jigsaw board doesn't quite work there. And then I would start again. Okay. Or I can just keep going and I get this bonus. I can bounce off here and now it's 7 points for the top value. Or get 2 cards, get a mushroom, get a mutation symbol and bounce off for 12 and then I'll start over. You can be in each area here only once. It just gives you another way to score points, another way to get little bonuses. And it ties into other things that you'll see at random, such as this special token here. At the end of the game, if you collect this token, you get 5 bonus points per hollow area here that you have occupied. There you go. One little thing that this ties into its points, but then also it can provide more points in addition to a one-time movement up the nuptial flight track. That's what that symbol is. So you'll see that on the board, like here, like here. You'll see it on cards. You're going up this track in order to get bonuses and bounce off. In addition, if there is a tie for claiming resources, let's say we had, pretend these are all legitimate moves here. We had people who had explored this way, right? Pretend there's all tracks up here. And then this player comes in, we bounce for food on the board, and there's 5 ants around it. Who's going to get it? Well, blue is on the top, it gets first choice. Orange is next, it gets first choice. Oh, poor green gets nothing. Green did not contribute to removing these items, so it does not get to place a pheromone here. If green had moved up 1 space, well then green would go first, and then blue, and then orange. And all 3 would have contributed, and all 3 would place a pheromone. Whichever player had the active turn, we get the bonus. If it was actually the black player, because the black player explored, then no one gets that bonus. That little tiny bonus seems so minor. All it's doing is moving an ant up from larva to grown up. That's it. Every bonus is super tiny, and yet they layer over time like pastrami and make a giant sandwich as you add them all together. Okay. I mentioned the star track. This is the clock of the game. When this space is filled in a 3-player game, that indicates you're coming to the end of the game. Here in a 4-player game, you would finish the round, you do 1 more complete round, and then you do a final incubation. So the first half of the game, you might have a couple of stars out here. The first half, it feels like nothing is happening. Things are very slow. Small exploring, small foraging, small digging, but you're boosting your production. You're boosting what you can do, and then suddenly star, 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 and it just rockets to the end of the game. Okay. So that's the flow of the game. You see the timer out here. And the 2-player side is much shorter. You understand how exploring and foraging works, how you're going to get resources, how you get little bonuses, how you get some more scoring opportunities at the end of the game. Now it's time to talk about cards. Here's another insert shot, just so I have a nice clean cut when we go look at cards. Here are the cards that were on the shared game board previously. Cards come in 3 types: rooms, skills, and deeds, and they all have different requirements to play. To play a room, you have to discard the indicated number of leaves and flip over a room of the indicated size or larger. A room of size 4 is the only thing that will work here. 3 or 4, 1, 2, 3, or 4. But honestly, don't flip anything more than a 1. So easy to get size 1. To get size 4 takes a lot of work. And often you do that only near the very end of the game. If the card has a lightning bolt, when you play this, you discard the leaves, you flip the room, you put this down, you get the immediate bonus. Here you get to move an ant from larva to grown up. That's it. Very tiny one-time bonus. Here, you get to increase the production of digging eggs. So now you will produce 1 more digging egg with each incubation, which is good because it ties into the second item on this card. An ongoing bonus. Anytime you play a room of size 3 or larger, you add that to your anthill, and then you get a mushroom. It gives you real incentive. You boosted your digging action, your digging power, and you get a bonus when you dig. It comes with some symbols as well. Here you get an in-game bonus. You get 1 point for every different symbol that you have in front of you. Mutation tokens at the end of the game, worthless. You need the symbol in front of you. Here the card's already worth 2 points. If you put this one down as well, you got 4 points. This will give you a blue. This will give you the silver aggression. This gives you the aphid. Okay, there's 9 total. So at most 9 points from this card. This one seems weird. This is the weirdest card in this game here. Every time you play an orange symbol in the future, you put a token on this card, and for every 2 tokens that you have on here, you can discard them and go up once on the nuptial flight track. So you would need to play a lot of orange symbols to make this powerful. But it does give you a lot of symbols, which can be useful because when you're playing skill cards and deed cards, you need symbols many times. So this one, you need only 3 leaves. Here, a leaf and a green symbol. So you have to have that in front of you, or a mutation token that you can discard for a temporary green symbol, and then it's gone. 2 green and 2 pink. That will take so much, at least when you're looking at this at the beginning of the game. If you forage initially, which of these is going to be the most useful immediately? Maybe this one, just because you're more likely to have 3 leaves than anything else. Although this one, if you do have access to a green symbol, takes only 1 leaf, it gives you 2 aggression, and lets you fight threats, and so on, in addition to whatever the power is here. Now, deed cards have a one-time effect. They give you no symbols, but they let you put out the stars. As soon as you have 3 deeds in play, put out a star. That's 4 points. 5 deeds, 10 points. 8 deeds, 20 points. So you want to put these down because, again, that's one of the things that you can specialize in. You don't discard these. This is just having those symbols, unless, of course, you're discarding a mutation token. Here, you need 2 orange, and you have to have placed 3 pheromones. And your bonus is you get to promote something. Right? Promote something in your production chart. You can produce 1 more food, 1 more leaf, 1 more egg of a certain type. Again, minor, but it's a deed. And deeds are often worth some points. Even sometimes only 1, but you see most of these are zeros. This one is the only other one that's really worth points. Here you get a leaf and you get to play a card. Okay. Minor stuff. Skills. Okay. Need leaf, need symbol, need leaves. You get on one-time bonuses. I get to up my food production, up my exploring production. And I get an aphid. Why is that aphid symbol important? Some cards will require aphids to play. This one, as a one-time bonus, you get to place an aphid on this card. Aphid, you just take one of your ant tokens and put it on there. Right? It's got a little arrow to show it goes on this card. In the future, during incubation, I can discard an aphid and I get 2 food. So you can turn aphids into food, but this is a one-shot thing. I get 1 aphid, so it can turn into 2 food. Other cards will let you produce aphids. Will you see those cards? Maybe. You don't know. So sometimes you're looking at stuff like this and you're like, well, it's not that expensive. It gives me 2 food once. It gives me a symbol that can help for something else, such as this card, or a requirement that I need an aphid in order to play it. I'm trying to look for one of those cards right now. There you go. Here's one. I needed 3 pink, a green, an aphid. I get a one-time mutation symbol and 1 point. Again, the requirements seem pretty steep for what you're getting in return. But if you put down lots of deeds, you're going to benefit by placing those stars on the board, which is also going to move you toward the end of the game. So you're going to get random cards from taking these actions. Sometimes they're not useful. During incubation, you can throw away a card in order to advance up the nuptial flight track. Okay, that gives you an out if you don't like that particular card. Maybe you're taking something because you think someone else wants that card. At worst, you hurt someone else. That's always good, right? At least in games. Now, at the beginning of play, you are going to get 2 random queen cards and 6 other starting cards. And you're going to keep 4 of these. So you can look at what you have and let me zoom in a little. A little too much, maybe. All right. So which 4 do you want to keep? The queen cards always they need a room of size 4, and they give you some endgame scoring. Here I get 2 points for every yellow symbol in front of me, 2 points for every pink symbol. I get an immediate pheromone placement. I just take one of my pheromone cubes and I throw it away. I don't place it on the board, I just get rid of it. But that helps me move towards that pheromone star bonus. Okay, here's the other cards. So I'm looking at these and trying to think, how are these all going to work together? What's going to happen? This one I need pink to play. This can give me a pink, although often these cards you play at the very end of the game because you're building up your digging production in order to make rooms of size 4. This one requires a green to play. It gives a green as well, but I could do this one first and then this one. Maybe I want to keep at least those 2 to work together. These require me to have 2 different rooms in my anthill, whether empty or full, an orange and a yellow. I have no orange. This is 4 room and skill cards in front of me and a pink. This is a forage production of 2 and 2 purple. This one seems right out. I'm not going to do this one anytime soon. Maybe not this one either. All right. You know, do this, and this one needs its room of size 1, gives me a one-time mushroom, and in the future, every time I play a deed, I get food. Maybe I do want to keep these deeds, although I'm going to pick up a lot more. Let's just go with this. Sure. There we go. There's my starting 4. So I want to focus first. I get a leaf. I'm going to start with some leaves probably in order to play this, and then I can work towards playing this, and it just bumps my production. This one I can, during incubation, spin a leaf to place an aphid. To place a leaf. Leaves work just like the aphid cards. I can place a leaf on any card that's in front of me. Let's move this over here. Any card in front of me. And at the end of the game, I get 4 points for every 2 leaf tokens on this card. So during incubation, discard a leaf to put this down. Next incubation, that's 4 points. Next incubation, another 4 points. This could work really well. I just have to ensure leaf production in order to make that happen, and now this increases my leaf production. All right, I've got at least something to focus on during play. Here's another set of cards. Let me zoom out again. This is the professional way to do it, right? Zooming immediately as we're talking about things. Okay, another set of 2 queens. Score points for purple or green symbols. You get a one-time bonus of 3 leaf tokens on any card and 1 aggression symbol. Oh, that would be nice if I had these 2 together, because these 3 leaves would immediately translate to essentially 6 points. But they weren't in the same hand together. Maybe in a different game. So again, look at everything. How's it going to work together? I keep these 2. That gives me 2 green symbols, which is going to give me 4 points. This increases leaf production. The arrow here, I get to move an ant from one specialization to another. Every time I play a card with an aphid symbol, I get food. Mutation. You see a lot of these now. Every time I play an orange, I get to pay 1 leaf less for the cost. Okay. You get an idea of what some cards are like. Now imagine 100 other cards. It's kind of crazy making sometimes. You will often have many, many cards that you want to use and then just can't use. the situation doesn't come out, right? You don't get the appropriate number of pheromones, or you can never find 2 cards that have aphid symbols on them. And this turns out to be useless. During incubation, I get a little aphid token, which would be great if I could play this. But what cards are coming into play? You have to adapt all the time as you were playing the game, trying to make plans for what you were going to do. Looking at all these, see some useful stuff. I mean, it's all useful. Almost all of it's useful. It just depends upon the circumstances that you're in. There is real competition for these cards, especially in a 4-player game. They're going to turn over quickly. Sometimes you take an action not so much because you want to explore or forage or dig, but because you want this card. You're looking at something here. I get 1 mushroom for every 2 orange symbols that I have in front of me. This is 2 orange on its own. If I already have played a bunch of pink, maybe I want to get this. I can get a couple more orange symbols down. All right, here's the, nope, that's not pink. Those are darker pink. Then I can get food production during incubation. I don't have to worry about bumping up my food. I can just get mushrooms, and that provides me versatility in what I'm doing in the future. This one, I get to immediately play a deed in incubation. That's awesome. You can just plunk down deeds, turn, 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 every time you do that, in addition to doing whatever else you're doing in incubation, setting up for the future, trying to satisfy those tiles, and so on. I'm not going to go through all these, but every time you take a dig action, you get an aggression token. You can imagine the variety of things that are on these cards. I'll leave it at that. There's a fairly detailed overview of ANTS, which I thought I was going to do at kind of a high level, and then I start laying out more and more cards and talking about the possibilities of the cards and how you can work them together to create opportunities and sort of engines and fuel one thing from another. I love games with special powered cards, he said, with innovation in the background. And ANTS gives that to you in addition to the sort of methodical Euro game where you're trying to plan ahead and need to plan ahead in order to make things happen. I've been surprised over 5 plays of ANTS on a review copy from Cranio Creations, once each with 2 and 4 players, 3 times with 3 players. I'm surprised by the flow of the game itself because, as I mentioned, everything starts really low powered with the digging, exploring, foraging. You can only play very small cards with barely any cost, and it feels like you're doing nothing, and then it just shoots up, and then the game ends. And I haven't yet, even now after 5 plays, I think, had a real handle on what you can possibly do within a game. Sometimes you're not really in control of how things happen because you may meet some requirement on the tile in your anthill board and you flip it over. And now that counts as a deed, and suddenly you put another star on the board. Or you have foraged and someone else will finish foraging that area, and suddenly you put a pheromone on the board, and now you have to put a star on the board. So the pace of the game is somewhat under your control, but also not, because of course everyone else is doing things as well. So it's this shared management thing where you have all these things you're trying to do. Definitely my first game. So many cards. I just kept building up possibilities for going to do this and this. Oh, the game's over. And I had roughly half the points of the player who won because I kept thinking about what's coming down the road rather than when is this ending? I mean, you have no idea the first game that you play. It's going to be very surprising to you with how everything comes together. There's lots of little elements here. And it takes a long time to build up to certain things. And now with 5 games under my belt, I understand that more. That queen card you have, it's at the end of the game. You're going to build up towards that because you need a room of size 4, which is going to take a lot of digging or a lot of food, which means you're going to need to up your production of digger eggs, up your food production, somehow put everything together, maybe take emergency food just to move ants over in specialization, make that room size 4. And as long as you do it by the end of the game, you're going to get the scoring bonus from that queen, which is what I did in the last game I played, 2-player game. Dropped that queen on the very final turn. Scored 2 points per blue symbol. I've been focusing on collecting blue symbols. I'd only gotten 2, but by dropping that card, it suddenly was 8 points. The bonus on that card, the immediate bonus, was I get to play another card, a skill card. I did that, which bumped me up the nuptial flight track. I did another bump with another thing, and that let me go into the highest layer on the board, which was worth 12 points. In addition to playing 1 card, which turned into 2 cards, I fought a threat because I had explored deeply into this territory, had a high level 3 threat. I got to place it on my board, on the advanced side of the board, not the introductory side. We'll talk about that in a moment. And that let me double all the points that I scored for layers. So I put down a queen worth 8 points. I'd gone up to the top of the nuptial flight track for 12 points. I then doubled it for another 12 points. So 32 points in that final turn. Amazingly, I had just enough to put it all together. I still had more plans beyond that. I had planned for I had another card that would flip a room back. So I could use my size 4 room, flip my size 4 room to empty again, play another size 4 card, a room card, which gave it more in-game bonuses. I had so much I wanted to do. And it just ended, and I got lucky winning that I just had more points from cards and other things than my opponent, who had done a great job of getting out all his pheromones, all 8 deeds, or at least 8 deeds, and just had dropped those stars. So it's a lot going on, trying to put that all together. You can see from the way I'm talking about it somewhat manically that it's very involving. At least I have found it very involving. I love that combination of the randomness of the cards, allowing you to modify and adapt whatever you're doing on a more programmed Euro level of upping my production, advancing things from eggs to larvae, larvae to grown-ups, blah, blah, blah. There's all the stuff that you're sort of programming, but then you have to adapt. What cards have been revealed? Where did someone explore that now I can jump in and forage? Where can I explore in order to profit myself? Because I suddenly got a card that will work great with this trophy, this diamond item that's on the board. Opportunities pop up continually thanks to the cards. And that's a huge part of the appeal of the game for me, is adapting to that randomness. I've taught the game 4 times now over those 5 plays, and the teach has not gotten any shorter, really. It's taken about the same amount of time because there is so much to teach, as you have seen in the video. And that doesn't even get into looking at this. I'm still looking at this in game 5 because I'm seeing cards that I've never seen before, trying to make sure I understand them. Right? Teaching other people as well. We finally tried the advanced mode in the 5th game. So with the advanced mode, there's a couple of things. Okay, you have the anthill board. Everyone starts with the same side, right? There's no symbol here. For the advanced side, you flip this over. There's a little star, and all of these now are unique, or at least there's a different layout on each player's board. And so it gives you a little more specialization for what you're trying to do. I had a space that let me double the points from layers. Only me. And so I wanted to try to make that happen, but that meant I needed to defeat a size 3 enemy, which meant I needed to explore at a strength 4 so I can flip over one of those faraway areas. And I think they're all strength 3 threats. I don't know for sure, but I think they are. I took a gamble. But to explore at strength 4, I had to build up that, and I had to spend food to move things over. So it's a long process of trying to put all that together, but with a very with a very focused goal for what I was trying to do. In addition, in the advanced game, your leaf and food production starts at 0, not 1. The introduction, it's 1 across the board. In the regular game, it's 1 across the board for egg production and 0 for these, which means you start in the hole already for food and leaves It's harder to play cards, harder to feed your larvae before they become grown-ups. So it's a real push for production, and you keep that in mind. What cards am I going to keep? What do I need to do? I want to fight a size 1 threat so I can boost my food production and hopefully survive. All right? Here you get to boost both food and leaves, but it requires size 2. And so you're doing all this juggling, trying to get everything to work. And in addition to that, all right, so you got this board, you adjust what you're starting with here, and you're putting out the tiles for anthills. There's 4 groups of 3 tiles, and they all have different requirements on them. So I showed you one where you need, strength 3 digging, I think? Strength 3 exploring, 5 leaves, 5 room and skill cards. This one, I need to have 4 rooms, total of 6 egg production across all types of egg production, and I need to have foraged 4 times. Have 4 ants that have foraged on the board. Okay, that's a different focus. Here's another set. I need to have 3 deeds, which then will turn this into a deed itself. I need to have strength 3 foraging, egg production, and have 3 pheromones on the board. So again, you got specialization with this. And this is in the regular game, but with the introductory game, but with the advanced game, you put out a random queen with each set of 3 tiles. And queens are going to give you a specific set of starting resources instead of everyone starting with the same thing. And it gives you an ongoing ability. So my ability, I could discard a card from my hand to get a wild ant. I mean, an ant that can do any specialization. I like how that's a wild ant instead of just like a highly skilled ant who's probably not very wild because it's probably trained a lot in order to make that happen. But in any case, a wild ant. So I could pull an ant out of nowhere by discarding a card in order to strengthen something. My opponent had the one with those 8 symbols that I showed you where at any time they could put one of those symbols there and it would give them that symbol. So now they can just play a card that needs that symbol. They could spend a food and put down another symbol. Spend a food, put down a 3rd symbol. And that's it. They're putting down 3 out of 8 symbols, not the aggression symbol, because those are on more cards. And you can get them elsewhere. So this gives a leg up for that. Here's one here. Whenever you take a digging, foraging, or exploring action, you can take any card on the board, not necessarily the card from that row. So little powers that just break things a bit. Anytime you dig, explore, forage, you get a mushroom. Here's one. You can discard a room card for a leaf or a skill card to go up the nuptial flight track. Gives you a different way to take care of all those cards that you don't need that you pick up, let you advance in different ways. So that's adding more to the game, more specialization, more individualization, more asymmetry in what you're doing there. But you already have that in spades thanks to you handling all the cards and trying to make something of that. It's not a fast game to teach, but man, I find it really engaging. I recently did an overview of another Spielesen 25 release, Faya Swamp. Right? There's a link to that. That game has no hidden information. There's no randomness. It's just what people choose to do. And I see it's a fine design, but it doesn't attract me the way that this game does because I like the randomness. I like trying to make something of that. And that's why I played this 5 times now. And that I only played 2. This is so far like the only heavy game in, I don't know, a year or 2 that I've been really attracted to. Just because somehow it works together. That meatiness of the gameplay, the thematic nature of the game. Right? I don't usually care for space or fantasy or whatever. The anthill, I mean, I don't care. I'm not imagining myself being an ant or anything, but it helps explain all the actions and keep everything working. It helps with the explanation, and other people have talked about how it helps them grasp what's going on. This feels like exploring. This feels like foraging. So it works. And just, yeah, how the cards all work together. It's all a solid package in here. It's just hard, or not hard to teach, long to teach, because it's sort of circuitous with everything tying back on itself, which is good game design because it makes lots of things matter. But then it also just throws in random things where, like, what's the symbol? It's an aphid token. What do we do with them? Well, you just put an ant token on that card and now it's an aphid. So what? You might never see an aphid card again. So sometimes you look at this and you're like, why would I get invested in this? And I feel like I have to tell people if they're playing for the first time, like, maybe you'll see them, maybe you won't. But what do I have to warn you about? I don't want to look at your cards and tell you what to do. But it's much more like, there's all these symbols. We'll see what comes up randomly. You try to make the best of what's available to you, which, again, something I like. It says 90-minute playing time. It's been more like 2 hours, 2.5 hours. Most games, not the 2-player game, but most games, 2 hours, 2.5 hours. It's a lot going on. And I don't know. I like it. One possible underused thing that we have, in 5 games, I've seen someone take out 1 emergency food cube. In another game, I saw someone take out 2. And that's it. 2 uses among 15 people across those 5 games. So maybe we're not using that enough. Maybe we need to be taking advantage of that more in order to gamble a little bit more and build more quickly. I don't know. Or maybe that's just the nature of the game, where there's lots of little things that sometimes just don't come up. No one gets aphids this game. Whatever. No one gets leaves. Or suddenly there's 2 or 3 leaf cards and it just magically gels together. The queen that requires the 8 symbols that comes up randomly when that one queen comes out when you're playing a non-introductory game. So there's details all over the place to try to teach and manage and account for and comprehend. And after 5 plays, I think I got a good overview. I still don't have a good idea of the pace of the game, again, because I was surprised by my other player, my opponent doing that. But putting it together, putting a plan together, putting a team together, a team of ants. So there you go. You got a feel for ants, hopefully. If you're interested and you know about this, I know that the look of the game, the publisher of the game, it's similar to Rats of Wistar, which came out in 2024. I've not played Rats of Wistar, don't know anything about it, can't compare it. But apparently it's sort of the same universe and the same style of play. So that's all I can say about Rats of Wistar compared to Ants. They're similar, I hear, from other people who played Rats of Wistar and then played this. There you go. Do the best you can. Talking about one of thousands of games that's coming out.